The men came out of bottles, it was said. The referee had walked to the middle of the pitch and put the bottle there. Moments later, they popped out like bubbles from a can of Coke, taking human shapes as they rose into the air to land fully dressed to the shocked silence of a packed stadium. The venue is still a bit hazy. I suppose the tellers treated it as an unimportant detail. What was not left out was the fact that they were football players of the Indian national team, and they were barefooted. There is a naivety about childhood that is very beautiful. It allows us to accept the world just as we see it, never taking for a moment to consider the nuances we call fiction and tales. As a child, anything an adult says is the truth, and there was no truth quite like the fabled match between the Black Stars of Ghana and the Indians. The venue of the big match is unknown. Nobody knows when it was played, whether it was a cold night under a beautiful moon, or perhaps it was a monsoon night, the winds deceptively chilly, and the stars overwhelmed by glaring floodlights. The reports are curiously silent on this. The Ghanaians must have been surprised when they first took to the field and found no one. Normally, both teams would walk out of the dressing room side by side until they reached a designated spot where they would stand to respect each other's national anthem. The situation will soon be rectified when the referee arrives with a bottle in his hand. He carries this bottle onto the pitch, the Ghanaians no doubt wondering whether he was drunk. What ensues is a string of inexplicable occurrences that could only be put down to magic. First, it is said that football always became hard as stone whenever the Ghanaians tried kicking it. Others said it turned into a ball of breathing fire. There is even talk of a cook pot so heavy no mortal man could kick it. The events get even scarier than that. Whenever the Indians kicked the ball towards goal, the round leather would magically transform into some raging beast. The goalkeeper would rationally jump out of the way, allowing the opponents to make a score. This repeated 100 times until one hero from the Ghana national team decided to take matters into his own hands. Having managed to get the rock-solid ball to the Indian area, he kicked it toward the goal with every fibre of his being. The goalkeeper, no doubt stunned, was helpless as the Ghanaians recorded the only goal they needed to win the game. You could imagine the mournful silence that accompanied the victory, a soulless dirge snaking through the ground like a lonely breeze from the deep ocean. The nameless Ghanaian died, birthing at the same time a matter to be celebrated years after his passing, which was kind of the idea. Anyone who reads novels of fantasy knows the phenomenon of the underdog. The more the obstacles the character needs to overcome, the greater a hero he becomes. And so from the magical entrance of the Indian players onto the pitch to the impossibility of kicking the ball or stopping it from breaching Ghana's goal, the hurdles came to a head with the death of a beloved character. What is better than a hero? A dead hero. There are two things behind the story. First is the obvious attempt at creating a myth to explain the seemingly inexplicable. Those of us who grew up in the 90s were used to seeing certain countries in the various tournaments we witnessed. There were the 3 FIFA World Cups, among other tournaments. In none of them did you ever see or hear of the Indians. It didn't matter that they were probably involved in some Asian competition on another continent. In fact, the same could be said of many other Asian countries. There was Vietnam, there were the Koreans, Singapore, Bangladesh. Which brings up the second point, Hindi movies. The recent obsession over popular Indian series Kumkum Bhagya and Veera is not a new thing. In the past, many Indian films made their ways into various homes through the rental of VHS. Typical of many Bollywood films, there were songs and outrageous fight scenes. One thing that has stuck with me is the sound of a shooting gun. Another thing, though, is magic. It wasn't odd to imagine a woman change into a snake, or a mongoose and a cobra locked in an eternal battle. The Hindu culture greatly influenced many of these productions, thus affecting what we thought of as being Indian. Almost every Bollywood film had the golden statue of one Hindu god or the other, and by the end, the gods were known to avenge the pain and sufferings caused by the evil people. While the West and America gave us Terminator and Predator, the East and India were giving us Nagin and Amar, Akbar and Tony. While Hinduism was foreign and unknown to us, the nature of vengeful spirits was not alien to the Ghanaian. Everybody who knew how to pay right understood there were certain beings that could inflict damage on the guilty, the suddenness of a change in thought. Such a background therefore made the story all the more believable to our young, impressionable minds. It allowed us to ascribe strangeness to the East and believe them wholeheartedly, and a myth oft repeated became truth. And so it was true that the Indians had been banned from football for practicing magic. It was also true that they wanted to play barefooted while others played in football boots. If we didn't see much of India playing football, we knew the reasons why. It was therefore good relief to witness the Under-17 World Cup hosted in India. It brought back beautiful memories and allowed for more reimaginations of the legend, like this one. As for the man who died kicking the ball, some have suggested he is the one on the green Nestle Milo team.